Yo, what's up guys? Hope everybody's doing well. So these days people throw around the phrase GOAT a lot, which of course stands for greatest of all time. They'll use it in the context of Messi versus Ronaldo and Jordan versus LeBron. Recently I've noticed that people have started to comment GOAT on some of my posts playing, especially over on Instagram, and as flattered as I am, I of course can't quite agree. There are a lot of incredible legends and even players of today who I have so much admiration for, and I feel like I've only reached the tip of the iceberg for my playing. But it inspired me to make this video where I wanted to talk about the legends of saxophone, specifically jazz legends on saxophone, and give you a list of my top 10. Now, of course, making these lists is always, kind of funny, picking 10 people. It's nearly impossible. There are just so many legends that I love so much on the saxophone that were of course excluded from this list, but I'm going to give you my top 10. With this list, you'll see that everyone is not active today. These are all legends, most of which who are not around anymore. There are so many players of today that I'm a huge fan of. Just to name a few, it would be Kenny Garrett, Chris Potter, Josh Redman, and even legends of today like Michael Brecker and Bob Berg, who are no longer with us. But again, this list is for players who are no longer active. Leave us a comment with some of your favorites and what your top 10 list would be down in the comments below. And speaking of some of the modern legends, we are actually putting on a virtual saxophone workshop to celebrate International Saxophone Day coming up in just a few weeks here. We're gonna have an absolutely insane roster of artists presenting masterclasses on a range of topics. Can't wait. It's gonna be totally slamming. Just some of the artists presenting masterclasses will be Kenny G, Eric Marienthal, Patrick Bartley, Bob Reynolds, Nathan Graybill, Timothy McAllister, Melissa Aldana, Valentin Kovalev, Lucia Sarmiento, plus more people we have yet to announce. And I will also be doing a masterclass on one of my favorite concepts that applies to modern improvisation especially, but can also just build your technique and facility for developing language in more traditional straight ahead ways as well. That is on the concept of melodic cells. So I'll be helping everyone integrate that concept into their playing, taking it step by step, going from exercises to application to making phrases yourself. And again, this is just going to be one of 15 topics of masterclasses that's going to be presented throughout the week. So I can't wait to learn with you all from all these amazing artists. And plus, this time around for this virtual workshop, everyone is actually going to get archived access of all the masterclasses given. So you'll be able to watch it as much as you want. So if you want to join us, there are a bunch of early bird discounts running right now. So make sure to check it out while those are still available. And there's also a coupon code in the description below, which will get you a big discount on your access. So without further ado, here are my top 10 greatest saxophonists of all time. Number 10 is Stan Getz. He was nicknamed The Sound because the sound was so warm and he played so melodically. He's a legend himself, but he also played with all sorts of legends like Nat King Cole, Benny Goodman, Woody Herman, and of course João Gilberto and Antonio Carlos Jobim. His album with João Gilberto, called Getz Gilberto, actually won a Grammy Award for Best Album, and The Girl from Ipanema won a Grammy for Best Single. Again, Getz's melodicism was just absolutely incredible. He would outline changes on bossas and jazz standards just like no other. Let's check out one of my favorite clips of his playing now. All right, number 9 is the master, Hank Mobley. Hank Mobley had a number of leader albums that were widely acclaimed, including Soul Station, which is probably his most known album. He also played with legends like Dizzy Gillespie and Max Roach, even the Duke Ellington Orchestra briefly. Mobley's soloing was just poetic and perfect in so many regards. His phrasing would move so logically from one phrase to the next. His voice leading was absolutely perfect, and his lines a lot of times just seemed like these Oxford examples of the most perfectly constructed jazz lines. Let's check out one of my favorite clips of Mobley now. Number 8 is Benny Golson, who passed away just recently. He's regarded as an absolute legend, but I still feel like he is somehow underrated. His contribution to saxophone and composition is absolutely unparalleled. He, of course, wrote compositions ranging from Stablemates to Killer Joe. He's part of a lineage of saxophonists and jazz musicians who came from Philadelphia. He often played with a very vertical approach. He would play these really cool arpeggio-based lines. He had an absolutely unique sound that has influenced many, many saxophonists in the years to come. He also made a cameo role in the Hollywood movie The Terminal, which featured Tom Hanks. He was an integral part of that movie plot. And again, just one of my favorite all-time saxophonists. Let's check out one of my favorite clips now. Number 7 on my list is Cannonball Adderly. I don't think it's possible to swing any harder on the saxophone than Cannonball Adderly did. His playing was incredibly soulful. He had all the facility of the great Charlie Parker, and he brought this soul jazz gospel flavor into his playing that was just absolutely incredible. He, of course, performed with Miles Davis and was on his legendary album Kind of Blue, and he put out many renowned albums in his own name, including Something Else. All right, so now let's check out a clip from one of my favorite Cannonball tracks. Enjoy. Number 6 is Lester Young, or nicknamed Prez. He was widely known for playing with Count Basie, and he is one of the founding fathers, I would say, of jazz saxophone. In the swing movement, he was an absolutely influential figure. His sound and rhythmic phrasing was just so unique, and his influence on a more traditional approach to jazz improvisation has lasted for decades and will last for many more. All right, here's one of my favorite clips. Let's check it out now. Number 5 is Wayne Shorter, who also passed away recently. Wayne was prolific not only for his saxophone playing, but also for his composing. He toured, of course, for many years with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. He was also the saxophonist in what is referred to as Miles Davis's second great quintet. He was the saxophonist in Weather Report, which was a hugely influential band in the jazz fusion movement, and his quartet with John Patitucci, Danilo Perez, and Brian Blade is widely considered to be one of the greatest modern jazz ensembles of our time. His influence spanned decades. He won 12 Grammy Awards. There is really no way to put into words his influence on jazz and music beyond. So let's check out one of my favorite clips of Wayne now. Number 4 is Dexter Gordon. He was 6'6" tall and known as Long Tall Dexter, or the Sophisticated Giant. His sound is certainly one of the most iconic saxophone sounds of all time. He recorded many iconic albums as a leader throughout the span of his career, including Dexter Gordon's Go on Blue Note. He was even nominated for an Oscar later on in his life for his leading role in the movie Round Midnight. He lived in Europe later on in life, where he found at that time he experienced less racism and a greater appreciation for being a jazz musician. While he was across the pond, he made records like Our Man in Paris, which is one of my personal favorites. Let's check out some of my favorite Dexter now. Here we go. Enjoy. Number 3 is the great Sonny Rollins, who's still with us today. He is retired currently, so he's not playing actively, but his influence as a saxophonist and musician lasted for decades. His most widely known album is, of course, Saxophone Colossus, which had the hit St. Thomas, but he had many critically acclaimed albums, including The Bridge, which was actually released after he took a sabbatical and practiced constantly under the Williamsburg Bridge for 2 years without any public performances or recordings. During that time, he said he would often practice for 15 or 16 hours a day under that bridge. He's a Grammy winner, an NEA jazz master, and just an absolute master of the saxophone. He was known for playing very rhythmically, but his lines were also so deep coming out of bop and post-bop. Everything he played was so in the moment and fresh. He was the epitome of an improviser. So let's check out one of my favorite clips of Sonny's playing now. Enjoy. Number 2 on my list is the great Charlie Parker. He was an absolute genius of modern music, a brilliant mind, and along with Dizzy Gillespie, he invented the music that we know as bebop, a subcategory of jazz. He only lived to the age of 35, and yet his recorded discography is some of the most masterful improvisation we have ever seen and heard. He is simply the genius that we all take inspiration from when we're trying to learn this music. It's almost impossible to pick a favorite clip of him here, but here's one that I really love of Charlie Parker. Enjoy. Now, number 1 on my list of the greatest saxophonists of all time, I'm sure you all know who it is at this point. It is, of course, the great John Coltrane. Words can simply not do justice to the influence of his saxophone playing and the impact it has had on music and culture. He's a master of everything in jazz, from bop to free jazz, and his music truly transcended into the spiritual realm. As a technician, his dedication to the craft is truly inspirational. And again, as an artist, his influence on culture and spirituality just truly goes beyond words. Here's one of my favorite clips of his playing. Hope you dig it. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging here and watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to click subscribe and give this video a like if you haven't already. And I hope to have you guys join us at the virtual saxophone workshop coming up in just a few weeks. It's going to be so fun. Can't wait to see y'all there.